Welcome to episode number 32 of People Talk Fanatics. I am here with uh, Imman. Is that how you pronounce it?
That is how you pronounce it,
Okay.
yeah.
Um, to talk about tonight's Raptors Sixers game, which Toronto came out just dialed in and they completely blew out the Sixers. And I'm I'm very interested to hear what her thoughts are.
Do you want me to jump in here with my thoughts? Sorry.
Uh, yeah. What were your initial thoughts on how the game went?
It was an incredibly fast-paced game. I thought, right from the jump that it really fell into the hands of the Toronto Raptors at the pace that the game was going. You would think, just the Sixers have a better half-court offense than the Toronto Raptors. An Embiid Harden pick and roll can just absolutely destroy a team like Toronto. But the fast pace I thought really sort of benefited the Raptors because they were able to sort of get out in transition. Now, defense was not played on either side of this. So I think that both teams, I expect in the next game, it's going to be a lot more dialed in. I expect the pace to be a lot slower. But in this one, it was enjoyable to watch. I mean, especially from a Raptors fan perspective. But I enjoy watching offenses. I enjoy watching teams fly up and down the court. A lot of 3-point shots made on both sides. I thought the Raptors had one of their better shooting nights. They're somehow fifth in the NBA currently in 3-point percentage, and a large part of that is the catch and shoot opportunities that they get. They take more catch and shoot opportunities, or they take a higher percentage of catch and shoot threes than any other team. They don't have a lot of guys that you trust really off the dribble, and I thought we saw that from the Raptors. We saw the ball moving, and that really, I thought, burned the Sixers. I'm kind of disappointed in the Sixers defense, and I think that that's kind of been the trend for you guys to start the year.
Yeah, I feel like especially Embiid, he's not really that. His effort is not really that at the level where Doc Rivers wants him to be defensively, and as you can see, this team is definitely struggling defensively, and I really hope that they can turn this around quickly and get the win in their second game in Toronto.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that with like Embiid's defense. That's something they've got beat on a lot this season to start, and I saw it at least a few times tonight. Like when Van Vliet and Siakam, or Van Vliet and anybody, kind of any combination of the pick and roll with Embiid coming up to head, he's not really coming up, and he's not also really in help. So it's like they were able to beat that a few times, and it just really opened the floor and just allowed, because they help would come, and as you mentioned was the catch and shoot opportunity they were hitting them, especially Gary Trent. He really helped extend that lead in the second half.
Yeah, he really did. I think, I missed the tip off, but when I saw the Raptors won that, because they came out with the ball in the fourth, I was like, what? The Raptors don't have a center. Like, to me, that
Yeah,
just shows a lack of effort from Joel Embiid right from the tip when he couldn't win a jump ball against someone that he should, theoretically, considering he is a center and the Raptors don't start any. Scotty Barnes should not have beaten him for that jump ball, but I think, in talking about the lack of effort that you're getting from Joel Embiid right from the start of the game.
My next question is, what were your thoughts on Embiid, Maxey, and Tucker's performance?
Maxey is a Raptors killer. It's interesting because they put Fred VanVleet on him, like the Raptors, and Fred VanVleet is an elite defender. He's really, really good. But the one type of guard that he struggles with is someone who's as quick as a Maxey, and Maxey's also longer. He's bigger. He's got more size than Fred VanVleet. And although Fred does well against guards that are bigger than him, Maxey's quicker than him, and that's kind
Yeah.
of where the danger comes from. And he's longer than him, so Maxey just getting downhill a ton. It's something that, in the playoffs a couple of months ago, something that we saw was the Raptors really struggled to contain Maxey. And so that continued, and I think we're probably going to get a change. I don't know that you're going to see Fred VanVleet on Tyrese Maxey next game. It'll be interesting to see what that sort of chess match is from Nick Nurse, but it's clear that that's not the defensive assignment for him. PJ Tucker, Honestly, like I love PJ Tucker. I'm such a PJ Tucker fan, but this is kind of a disappointing showing. I just thought that Pascal kind of took it to him on multiple occasions, and I coming into the season and why I'm kind of disappointed in the Sixers defense is that Embiid and sorry, not Embiid. That Harden and Maxey are not good defenders. That their perimeter defense is going to, not be great. But they brought in Melton. Thought Melton had a good game. They brought in Melton. They brought in PJ Tucker, and they have Joel Embiid, who's a defensive player of the year caliber type of player. So I thought that their defense would actually be better. I thought it would still be a good one. PJ Tucker was so integral to what the Heat are doing, and the Heat really miss him right now, but I didn't see that in tonight's game. And I've missed a good chunk of the Sixers early games, but I have to imagine that the effort that we got from PJ Tucker defensively is kind of what we've been seeing. And I thought Pascal got the best of him.
What were your thoughts on Scotty Barnes returning and having his performance what he had tonight?
I love Scotty Barnes. He's a rook, not a rook. He's a sophomore now. But he's gonna be making some mistakes still. He's still young. I thought there were some moments where, pace kind of gets the better of him. Sometimes the shot taking, there were a couple of moments where I would have not liked to see Scotty take that shot that he took. He doesn't quite have the range. He made one sort of catch and shoot three, but I think he attempted another one that was kind of ill-advised. But at the same time, he is so important to what the Raptors do. And I am very grateful to have him back in the lineup. And I think his presence was certainly felt.
What are your expectations on how next game will go? And do you think Doc Rivers will have any slight changes?
Yeah, I would think so. I think both teams are really sort of looking at this game. Like the Sixers did not play a bad game offensively. The Sixers had a fantastic game offensively. But they were making shots, they were getting to the line. They played a great game in terms of just their offensive production. Just defensively, they were not there. And a lot of that honestly comes down to effort. It was so I can't think of another word besides lazy sometimes watching what Joel Embiid was doing there on the court. And so I don't know how Doc can get him to try more. I don't know if it's the plantar fascia. I don't know what it is, but it kind of seemed like he was being a little lackadaisical on the court. But I would have to imagine it's just more effort. I wonder what they did in the second half, or not even the second half, in the second quarter sort of onwards, was really just throw as many different people at Pascal as possible. And when they were doubling him, they were tripling him, it was just trying to get the ball out of his hands because of the first quarter that he had. And what Pascal did was have a career high for him in terms of assists, right? He was moving that ball. And so it'd be interesting to watch how Doc Rivers kind of counters that. Pascal's kind of come into the season saying that he wants to be a top 5 player. Top 5 players need to be unguardable in that way. And he's showing these sort of leaps with his perimeter shot making, which is something that, the Sixers came out tonight and said, okay, we're going to force Siakam to sort of take these outside of here. They played the zone quite a bit. They were taking out the middle quite a bit. And what did Pascal do? He hit 4 threes in the first quarter. And so the Sixers really had to change their approach, and they started to double him. And what did he do? He got his career high in assists. So he's kind of showing what he's wanted to do. So I think taking Pascal out, honestly, is going to be a primary thing for the Sixers to do, not physically, but trying to take him out of the game, limit his possessions, keep the ball away from him, and force it really in other guys, because can you get another shooting like this from Gary Trent? You kind of have to roll the dice on that one. And so, but Pascal, so I think that we started to see the sort of changes already being made in that game. But defensively, I think everyone just needs to, honestly, it felt like an effort issue sometimes watching the Sixers. And they went out with a lot of zone. I think we're going to see it. I think it's going to be a little bit harder really taking out the middle, because it kind of, once again, kind of felt kind of lazy sometimes. So I just think more aggression from the Sixers is probably what we're going to see, especially, right from the jump. I would imagine something so minor that he wins a jump ball, something like that just shows that he's locked in right from tip off.
What do you think about the Sixers in the long run of their record? Um, like their prediction of the the um the record talk for them, and what do you think will happen down the road in the next 20 games or so?
So I thought the Sixers would be the 1 seed.
Hmm.
I thought they would be the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. I really like the moves that they made. I really like the pickup of D'Anthony Melton. I really like the pickup of PJ Tucker. I thought, Miami was going to really miss PJ Tucker, and they do.
Hmm.
They miss PJ Tucker, but it's not like the Sixers have gained him. It doesn't feels like one team has lost him. It just doesn't feel like another team has gained him. And so I really did think the Sixers would be the 1 seed. It's still way too early in the season. They're struggling, and to me, what's been surprising, and tonight, like, their offense clicked. It looked good. On most nights, they would have beaten a team.
Hmm.
Um, but defensively, they just did not have anything. And I think if you're Joel Embiid, if you're PJ Tucker, that can't be it. That can't be it for your team. I don't know what it means about Joel Embiid's health. I think if he can be healthy and sort of a rebound, I would have to imagine that things get better. But also, like, I saw a graphic that had Maxey as the worst defender in the league. It's based off of the first 4 games of the season or however many it's been, and like. Yeah, I get that Maxey is a weak defender, but he's got the length to be better. Like, I don't
Hmm.
he's got the size, he's got the quickness to be better than he is. So I think it comes on guys like Maxey to do that. And I was really surprised that, like, Matisse has just been completely taken out of the lineup for the Sixers. And I don't know if you go to him because obviously the offense hurts desperately when that happens, but there's just got to be some payoff. And I really, like, I know that people are calling for Doc Rivers' head. I'm never going to be one to call for someone's job, but I do think that a large part of this does come down to effort from the team. As much as it is coaching, as much as it is other things, I get people not liking the roster kind of looking like, Houston East. I get people not liking that it's being James Harden's team, but Joel Embiid is the best player on this team. Joel Embiid is the most talented player on the team. This is the most shooting that Joel Embiid has ever had to play with. James Harden is the best point guard that Joel Embiid has had to play with. This is honestly, like, it doesn't seem like it, and it didn't seem like it today, but, like, at least at the start of the season, it felt like the deepest bench that the Sixers have really ever had in
Hmm.
Joel Embiid's era. So, like, the pieces should theoretically be there. It does start, in my opinion, with Joel Embiid. You want to be the MVP, you want to be the championship team. It can't be everyone else's fault. I do think it starts with him. Hopefully he's healthy, but I can see the Sixers rebounding, and finishing as a top 3, top 4 seed. But the 1 seed that I thought that they would be to dominate from start to finish just doesn't feel like it's there. And it's only a week into the season, so who knows? But I would imagine they'd rebound, but it's there's something's got to give.
Hmm.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. Like the effort thing, like it's 5 games in, so they'll adjust. But like me coming in, I had them as the 1 seed, and I thought, I mean, 5 games in, they'll get the defense will improve. But I thought they had a chance to be a really good defense. And another thing you mentioned, Matisse is out. He didn't play tonight, and they barely played the backup bigs. And he played a lot of minutes, and
Yeah.
Harold, we just got a few. Like they like everyone, I love the Tucker and Melton signings, and I think they'll still work out for them. But the bench they haven't trusted the bench early in the season, I feel like. And over the course of 82 games, they're going to need that. And they'll tweak the roster at the deadline or something. But like that's way in the future. And like you need guys now who they can trust. So I'm interested to see what they can do with that. But you said like it's on Embiid, it's on the stars really lead the charge with that effort. And Alec, you've watched them a little bit more than me, but through 5 games, it feel like the effort hasn't really changed at all from the games that I've seen.
Uh, Actually, I was in attendance at their home opener against Milwaukee, and uh, their offense definitely seemed to click, but defensively, it was torture to try to guard the Greek Freak,
Yeah,
and having that kind of guy that you have to guard is going to be torture. Like anytime they have to go up against Milwaukee, and I just really hope that their defense comes together and clicks better coming in the next 5 or 10 games. And once the team really clicks together, I think that this team is going to have a hell of a run and be a surprise, definitely in the East. Knowing that Brooklyn doesn't seem to be that great, and having Milwaukee and Boston at the top two or something like that. I just think that Philadelphia is probably going to sit in the 3rd seed or 4th seed. But it's definitely going to come down to their physical defensive stops down like late in the games, and I think that if they get that going, then this team can be something really special.
Definitely. I will say they have played 3 really good teams out east already. And like they've been tested, and against those teams you have to bring more effort defensively. They just haven't done that.
Yeah, I'd agree with all of that.
I know they have a road trip coming. Since it started in Toronto, they have Chicago and then Washington, and then back in Philly against the Knicks.
But yeah, that'll give them a chance to get going a little bit, hopefully.
But those are all teams that are playing pretty well right now.
Oh, those are decent teams.
Yeah.
Their schedule doesn't get a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard to find wins in the Eastern
It
Conference right now.
I feel like Chicago and the Knicks could give them some trouble.
Definitely.
Yeah. Are the Wizards undefeated right now? I think the Wizards might even be undefeated at this point in the season.
And they've lost one tough one.
They lost one?
I think, I don't remember. But yeah, they've been really good too.
Yeah.
The East is a battle.
It really is. And, the Sixers have the talent to be, right there at the top with the Bostons and the Milwaukees. It's just hopefully Embiid can be healthy and hopefully this defense can get going. And I don't know.
Yeah.
The other thing that disappointed me was how Georgie's Niang performance played out tonight. Like around the 3-point perimeter. And he's usually on fire, shooting, getting threes, at least 3 threes a game. But he just seemed really off tonight, and I'm not sure if it's he just had an off night or the whole offense was just not clicking that right. But I felt maybe he was just hesitant to not feel his game tonight, and I do think that he's definitely going to turn it around, especially in the coming days against some lighter teams than who they have played in the past 3 games. So, Imman, I want to ask you, if the Sixers make it to the Eastern Conference Finals this year, how many games do you think it would take for them to potentially be a contender for the finals?
So like if they make it to the conference finals, do I think that they can win it and make it to the finals?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think, if they make it that far, that clearly something's clicked for them. So, you mentioned it earlier, Giannis is impossible to guard. He is, he's kind of a wrecking ball in his own right, but you guys have one in Joel Embiid, who's a wrecking ball in his own right as well. I thought the Sixers had a chance, to be honest, just because I look at a team like the Bucks, and they're the oldest team in the league. And it's not to say that the Sixers are kind of old too. James Harden, we've seen it last year, PJ Tucker, also someone who's older. So you guys definitely have age there as well. But to me, I looked at what the Bucks did last year, and Brook Lopez being hurt for them really, 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 I thought cost them, as much as Middleton being hurt cost them a trip to the finals, Brook Lopez being hurt, you really saw the impact in the regular season, especially when he was out. And so I think it just comes down to which team is healthier, because as teams sort of age, there is that's happening. The Celtics, I could see the Sixers beating the Celtics in a playoff series, to be quite honest. I would probably, especially like who knows about Robert Williams, right? Like there's just a lot of injuries that are happening in the Eastern Conference, and it just matters who goes into there healthy. But I honestly, if the Sixers can make it to the conference finals, clearly it's clicked for them. Clearly they have things that are rolling. So to me, in terms of talent, if they can figure everything out and get to the conference finals, I certainly think that they can get to the finals, right? Like I think that that's a doable thing as long as they can get there and they have their health. I wouldn't be shocked if they beat the Bucks or the Sixers or Celtics, sorry, in a 7-game series. It wouldn't surprise me entirely if we started to see things rolling for them, because I do think they have the talent. I do think they have the depth. I do think they have the shooting, and theoretically they should have the defense as well. So they, to me, felt like a complete team coming into the season. So I was kind of surprised to see the start, but if things start to get rolling for them, I think they're going to be a scary team. Personally, if the Bucks are healthy, I'd probably still pick them, but Sixers might be my next team after that.
Definitely, like where your mind is. The Sixers team is a really fun team to watch, especially with the Harden addition and PJ addition. And I just hope that they continue to click and get over 500 in the coming days. And I think
I just hope it's not against the Raptors, personally.
So my last question is, what do you think will happen Friday night? And do you think that the Sixers has an edge of getting the W?
I don't know that the Sixers have an edge just yet. I think the edge still goes to the Raptors, just because, like I said, I thought the Sixers had about as good as they just had a brilliant offensive performance. I thought the Raptors had a brilliant offensive performance too. And so to me, I look at what the Raptors are doing, and defensively, they've just been a better team than the Celtics have at the start of the year, right? And I would still kind of give the edge to the Raptors, but I think it's really difficult when you have these kind of home and home series to win both of them. I think it's proven that it's really difficult. The Raptors just had one with the Heat and they split it, because it's a difficult thing to win both of those games. I would expect that the Sixers are going to want blood. They're going to want to come out and actually this is a major moment. What are they, 1-4 right now?
Yeah.
They don't want to go down 1-5, right? Like that would be disastrous. Like that would be a really terrible start. I think it matters for Doc Rivers. I think it matters for Joel Embiid and his quest for MVP. I think it matters to the team. So in terms of who's desperate for that win, I still think it would be the Sixers. But who has the edge? I think the Raptors are kind of feeling comfortable. I think the Raptors are looking at that game and saying, oh, we have played better this season already, so we know we can play better. Especially sort of, some mental lapses that offensively, this was a brilliant game from the Raptors and they were hitting all the shots that you wanted them to hit, but there were some lapse in judgments from, there's a couple of turnovers in transition. Gary had one, Scotty had one, OG had one. I think the Raptors are kind of looking at some of the pieces that they can clean up, and also thinking that they can clean some things up defensively as well. I think the Sixers should be doing the same thing, but we haven't seen the Sixers do that all season. So I don't know if I'm ready to say that they're going to do that on Friday if they haven't done that since October 18, 19, whenever the season began. So for that reason, I think I'll say like 60% I believe the Raptors would win, 40% I believe the Sixers will win. I think it's close, maybe like 55-45, just because I think it's so hard to lose both of these games, and I still think Joel Embiid poses such a matchup problem for the Sixers. And for as much as I'm like crapping on how the Sixers defense looked tonight, they still were in this game right until the very end, right? Like, yeah, it was a 10-point game and it felt like it was a 10-point game for most of it, but Sixers never really went away. The Raptors really never ran with it. So it could very easily be the Sixers winning it. I'm just going to give a very slight edge to the Raptors, but I would not be surprised if the Sixers pulled it out.
Definitely. Yeah. Alex, I got quick question. What do you think the ceiling is for the Raptors this season?
Ooh, that honestly, I go back and forth on that one, to be honest, just because it depends so much on the growth of some really young players, right? So when I look at the Sixers, I'm like, well, their ceiling is Joel Embiid and what Joel Embiid and what Harden can be, and we know that those are MVP caliber players. I don't know what the ceiling is for Pascal Siakam. His first 4 games, he's been phenomenal, and this is the best basketball, or first 5 games. This is the best basketball I've ever seen him play, right? Like, this right now is the best stretch of basketball he's ever played. And then you also have Scotty Barnes, who's only in his 2nd year and is taking such a major step in terms of his role on the Raptors, right? He was 5th in usage last year. He's 2nd in usage this year. He is their secondary, ball handler and playmaker. He starts at center, but he's also their backup point guard. So just the major growth in steps for guys like that, it matters so much. I think they should feel like they can make the playoffs. They did last year. Last year, they lost in 6 games to the Sixers. And I think this year, they should look at winning a round. That should be where they're, like, it's growth and building on what they've done last year. I think that they should feel comfortable that they could be a team that finishes in the 2nd round. But also, you look at that, the Bucks, the Celtics, the Sixers,
There's not
the Heat.
spots for
Those
everyone.
are 4
Yeah.
teams already. Who knows what the Nets are going to do? So it's going to be, the Raptors are going to have to beat one of those really good teams in order to do it. But I think that that's where the Raptors should feel they are.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've watched Raptors a few times this season. I just love how Nick Nurse and his rotations and just the different lineups. Like he even like 5 games, he's already like throwing out a bunch of different lineups, a bunch of different adjustments and stuff. And that's why I love watching him coach and just the different stuff. Like I think in the 3rd quarter it was a lineup of Trent, Siakam, Koloko, Achua, and Boucher, and I'd never seen those 5 on the floor together, and I just like. Coaches don't put those like that kind of size and stuff on the floor. I mean, it worked for him, so it's just he gets creative and it wins him a lot of games. I feel like
Confuses a lot of people, certainly. Yeah, he definitely gets creative with his rotations.
All right, so Chris, you have anything else?
I think we're good.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on, and I wish you the best of luck with the Raptors down the road.
Thank you. I wish you guys the best of luck. Hopefully the Sixers can turn their season around. Thanks. Good night.
Thank you.